Hey, hope you're having a good Tuesday. Thank you for joining me for today's 5 for 5. This week we are talking about exercising faith, what it means to exercise our faith, to put it into practice, and to truly live out what we believe. In Hebrews 11, we see one of the greatest definitions of faith. It's a verse that I've shared many times on these 5 for 5s. It's Hebrews 11, verse 1. It says, "Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." Another word for assurance there could be the confidence of things hoped for. It's the picture that we have a confident assurance, a confident knowledge that what God has promised He's going to do. And in Hebrews 11, we see the example of many saints or many people who followed after God in the Old Testament and the Jewish scriptures, and we see their example of how they showed their faith through their lives of faith. We see that their lives was an example and a testimony of the faith that they had, that they saw God as faithful, and so they were living a life faithful to Him. They were full of faith, and their lives proved it, that they would live out and follow through in their faith. It says at the end of chapter 11 that all of these people in this great hall of fame of faith, that all of these people, it says, they, though commended through their faith, they did not receive what was promised, since God had provided something better for us, that apart from us, they should not be made perfect or complete. The picture in Hebrews 11 is that all of those who had gone to the grave waiting for God's faithful promises to be fulfilled, they were looking forward ultimately to the fulfillment of Jesus Christ, the one who would complete their faith. And though they did not see God's promises fully fulfilled, they were faithful to Him, and they continued to live lives of faith following after Him. When we think about what does it mean to exercise our faith, it means that we stay faithful to God. It means that we obey Him. And our works, they show that we are living a life of faith. They're works of righteousness, works of goodness that come out of a heart that's fully devoted to Him. As we have faith in Him, as we trust that He is faithful to do what He has promised to do, we will continue on and we will persevere. The writer of Hebrews is saying here in these chapters that it's about endurance. It's about sticking with the faith that we have started in, even when we cannot see today the fulfillment of God's promises tomorrow. That we stay consistent and we stay through. And that's exactly where he goes in Hebrews chapter 12. He says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith." We lay aside the things that get in the way of our faith. We lay aside the things that get in the way of our relationship with God and following after Him and trusting in His promises. We lay those aside and we put our eyes on Jesus. It says He's the founder and the perfecter. It means He started this and He will finish this. That He is going to complete our faith and fulfill His promises just as He said He would. And we look to Him. We let go of the things that distract us. We let go of the things that cause us doubt. We let go of the things that draw us back and hold us back and keep us in this world, and we put our eyes on Jesus, the founder and perfecter, the author and finisher of our faith. And that's who we focus on. It says, as we do that, we look at His example, who for the joy that was set before Him, He endured the cross, despising the shame, and He is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. We have no better example than Jesus Christ Himself, as He went to the cross, endured the shame, ultimately for His own glory and for our salvation. When we look at this life, when we look at this world and we start to think, Lord, what am I doing here? How can I hold on? How can I keep my faith? How can I trust in your promises? We look at Jesus Christ and we look at His faithfulness all the way to the cross for our salvation. And His salvation, His work was completed as He sat at the right hand of the Father, as He sat down on the throne, and He is now worshiped as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. We look to Him as our example. We consider Him and we look at Him to realize that our struggles are small and temporary compared to what He's already done for us. And we remember the promises that God has for us, and we remember that He is always faithful, and He calls us to a heart and a life of being faithful to Him. This week, put it into practice and live out your faith. Faith that produces righteousness, faith that will follow through. All this week, this is our last week of our 5 for 5 videos. We encourage you to and share them with friends, pass them along. You can always go back to our YouTube playlist for 5 for 5s and look at those again and share those as well. And starting next week, our Monday Focus with Pastor Brooks will be getting kicked off next Monday morning. Hope you join with us all this week and share these throughout the week. Have a great one.